Welcome to the Hanna Show, where business, as usual, gets a swift kick in the ass. If you're tired of the same old advice and ready to disrupt the status quo, you're in the right place. I'm cutting through the noise with bold strategies, unfiltered truths, and a no-nonsense approach to entrepreneurship, video marketing, and content creation. Buckle up, because it's time to level up, stand out, and dominate your market. This isn't just another podcast, it's a wake-up call for entrepreneurs and would-be aspiring solopreneurs who are all in. Let's get started. I do not pretend to be perfect. I definitely make mistakes, and there are some major mistakes that I have made since launching my business, since launching my studio even, in fact, as well. I've been talking about some of them in micro episodes and clips. I am going to plow through really quickly some of the key ones that have also come up that I want to talk about. So this episode might be fast-paced. It might feel a little chaotic, might feel a little all over the place, but this is raw, unfiltered me talking about some major things that I've learned in my business in building out a studio and content creation business. First one I'm going to start with is kind of tough because I really feel like I fucked this one up big time. I call this the hiring mistakes that I've repeated twice. All right, so you get to a certain point in your business, you're growing, you're scaling, you are getting more customers, you're getting more jobs. These jobs start to overlap, and you start feeling like you're working all the time. I felt that way. I was struggling hard with it. I knew I needed to hire. My wife said, Chris, you need to hire. See, my wife did leave her job. She came work with me for a year and a half, but it's really, really hard to work with your husband or someone who's like me, who's a little bit crazy. So my wife ended up leaving and no longer working in the business because it was taking a toll on a lot of different ways. And so I needed to hire someone. And so, okay, what am I going to do? I need to hire someone who's kind of a generalist is what I thought. I already had editors in place and I feel really good about my editor. You know, my editor's amazing. Love what he does. I've hired supplemental extra editors when I've had lots of projects to kind of subcontract some work out, but I needed somebody to help me. The goal was like, okay, I'll hire what I call a content coordinator, someone who can kind of come in and they can be a bit of a mini me, I was hoping. That they'd be able to handle maybe the posting of content, maybe some of the captions, some of the thumbnail creation, some aspects of the video process that, I think that I could easily outsource to somebody else. I'll still lead the video sessions, but I'll have somebody else executing some of the work. At least that's what I thought. But I didn't really, do a couple things right. I actually thought I was going to talk about the one hiring mistake, but I'm going to say I made a couple hiring mistakes here. One, I hired someone who had a different skill set than what I was looking for, stronger in the photography side, but not really where I was looking for them to help in terms of captions, in terms of posting content and scheduling that content. So I hired the wrong person. So the mistake. I also did not properly train said person. I did not have any processes defined, which then led to frustration on their part and my part as well. And therefore, it was a rough experience for them. And eventually, after several months of just continually being frustrated on both sides, decided to part ways, which again, cost me time, money, energy. I ended up losing some clients because of some frustration of some work that happened during that time period as well. And I don't blame the person fully. I think it's also partially my fault for all the reasons that I mentioned. So then I go through a couple of months of like pain by myself, hire again. And this time I decided to hire a few people, different skill sets. Instead of hiring what I thought were generalists, why don't I hire some specialists, right? And so I decided to hire, but I did the same thing again. I did not set them up for success. So I hired 3 people in the span of a couple of weeks, which sounds crazy now that I'm saying it out loud. And one of them I really didn't set up well. I just started delegating work to on day one and didn't allocate the appropriate time to train them, to set them up with processes, to make sure that they were the right fit. Because I thought, you know what? Hey, I think you can do this. I've had the interview with you. I feel like it'll provide some relief. And it didn't cause any relief. It actually caused more pain for them, for me, and for clients. And again, I lost clients as a result of poor hiring decisions. And I've started to realize that all the times that I've lost clients has been related to people decisions that I have made. So therefore, all the reasons that clients have left has been my fault. When I'm touching everything, it seems to go well, but when I try and delegate the work to other people without setting them up correctly, it burns me, it bites me in the ass. And those are mistakes that I keep making when it comes to hiring. It's a hard thing to do, is to figure out how to hire for a variety of reasons. Maybe I've hired the wrong people. Maybe I've hired people that are better suited for other roles. So it's been a challenge. Now, as I said, this episode is going to switch gears a little bit. I'm going to add in other lessons that I've learned. So looking at a list here of things that I wrote down. How about the story of signing a 3-year lease, right? A multi-year lease for a studio without knowing of whether it was going to work out or not was a hell of a gamble. I said it was a strategic decision that I said in one of the episodes, right? Like I was making this strategically because I wanted to move away from doing everything all over the place with all the variables of setting up, tearing down, travel to and from, all the pain that goes into all the noise that's in the background when you're recording on location. But I didn't know if a 3-year, multi-year lease is going to be effective. It's a lot of money. So here's where it went wrong. Not about the money of the lease, as I underestimated the cost to actually put it all together. You see, I thought I can do this cheaply. I can rely on some of the equipment I already had, some of the lights I already had, some of the microphones I already had, and maybe find furniture cheap on Facebook Marketplace. And I realized really quickly, none of that actually was going to work out. I needed more cameras. I needed more lights. I needed more microphones. I needed better furniture. And I needed furniture that was not going to have problems with it that you could find when you're trying to buy secondhand. So everything that I thought was going to, be a certain value ended up being 5 times the price. Now, yes, it's worth it because I got something that works really well now, but it was a lot more money going out than coming in. And obviously, with so much that I've done, even over the last number of months, I'm not anywhere close to recouping my expenses. And I'd say we're coming up on almost 6 months in at the time of this recording. So it's been a very expensive endeavor. I don't think it's the wrong decision, but I think I completely underestimated how much it was going to cost me to do this project of building and committing to this. I'm hoping in future months and years the business picks up, but it has been definitely a slower go. The reason it's been a slower go is because I have made mistakes over the last 6 months that have kind of hurt me. So I'm spending a ton of money, right? I'm pumping out all this money into the studio, trying to build this up. At the same time, I'm saying yes to projects that I probably should say no to, that are not related to the studio, that are not related to video, such as static image posts, such as building ad funnels, such as building websites, because I need to bring more money in because I'm spending so much money on the studio. The problem is, by saying yes to all this shit that I probably should say no to, it takes me away from pumping out the studio content or promoting the studio or getting the word out. Major issue. It also then dilutes what we do at All In Content, which is also a major issue because then people start thinking I'm a website guy when I'm not a website guy, or I do graphic design when I don't do graphic design, or I build ad funnels when I don't build ad funnels. But of course, I'm trying to do it because I'm trying to just say yes to everything to bring in money, while I've probably stretched myself a little too thin. And this is me just being super honest and open about the whole process. So again, some major lessons learned there on things that I probably should have done a little differently. The other challenge that I'm really feeling like I've started to face over the last little while is that when you have those slow months and you say yes to all these things that you probably should say no to, you end up losing even more in the long run. I was working for a few weeks in particular that I can call out, but I know I've done it more than that. I was working over 110 hours a week, which is a lot. Obviously, right? If most people are working, say, 40, 50 hours a week, they feel tired. Well, me working 100 plus hours a week, not sustainable. And not good for me, not good for my health, not good physically, mentally, emotionally, not good for my relationship as well. And I thought the answer was just hire more. And I already talked about the first lesson there, right? I started just grasping at straws and hiring. And I've hired over the last year several people. Actually, more than several people, because several sounds small, but I've hired people and then either moved on from people really quickly or kept people on too long that just weren't the right fit. And I started my business with the idea of being a solopreneur. I love being a solopreneur, but I knew that for me to scale and grow to the revenue that I wanted to grow to the level of impact that I thought I could have to help more business owners, I needed more people. The problem I've had is finding the right people. I've got one person right now that I feel really, really, really good about. But some of the other people, and again, if they hear this, it's going to be a problem. I think I've miscast them. Either people are doing the wrong tasks, the wrong role, or maybe they're just not the right fit for what we're doing in our business. And it's hard to say that. But again, it's my fault because I was trying to solve for me working too many hours and feeling burnt out. When I started feeling burnt out and stressed out, it took a toll on me. It took a toll still, I think, on my relationship with my wife. It's taken a toll also on the relationships with my employees who also feel it. It's taken a toll on the relationship with my clients. I've lost more clients the more hours that I've worked as well because I'm not as available, even though I'm working all the time. I am a little bit more short in my responses and probably not providing the best level of customer service. I think it's not a symptom of me growing too fast. It's a symptom of me saying yes to too many things that I should have never said yes to. I'm still trying to get out of. Major problem. The other major lesson that I could probably spend hours talking about, which I won't because, again, I'm trying to keep these short, is my continual problem of underpricing. Pricing is hard. It is hard to come up with what to value the work that you do, the services. When I launched the studio, I knew I was going to start offering more in the podcast production space. I looked around and I found that from a raw perspective, I could be pretty aligned. The hard part was knowing what to charge for a podcast to be produced. And so you do a couple quotes for people. Some people say yes, you produce them, and you start realizing that producing a podcast is way more work because you have the long form video, which most people recording podcasts have been around the 45 to 1 hour mark, multiple guests and segments, and then there's lots of camera angles already on them. Then there's different components that you're trying to figure out. You've got audio levels, you've got the video itself, you've got social media snippets, you're rewatching some videos over and over again, you've got thumbnails you need to create, you've got captions you need to create, then you've got to upload to different places, and then you're maybe emailing certain people and getting them to publish some content, and you're publishing some. It is a ton of work, and across the board, I have made the major mistake of pricing everything way too cheap. I'm producing good quality work and fast, but it's cheap and therefore it's not profitable, which means, again, I'm doing a lot of the work versus paying other people or paying for the right people to come in. So it's all interrelated. Pricing is the major problem. The other major pricing issue, I'll say this without trying to get too specific. I quoted a job a couple of months back and they told me, wow, you are 5 times cheaper than everybody else that we talked to. So we're going to go with you. We know you produce good quality work. We're surprised your price is what it is. And it made me pause for a second and realize, oh shit, what have I done? I'm now delivering a project that I could have made a lot more money on. So, do the project, go back and forth, lots of communication, lots of edits, and I see why now everybody else was charging way more than what I did. But again, produced something exceptional, which was great, but 100% across the board lost money doing it. Recording it, editing it, re-editing it, multiple back and forths. The quality of what we put into it, 100%. I started mapping it out, and this is where I had to stop mapping it out because I realized it does me no good. I went through numbers over the course of 2025 and realized that I misquoted across the board to the tune of over $100,000. I could have made $100,000 more revenue if I actually just quoted more closer to what market rates were for a lot of the projects that I do. Now, a lot of people, sometimes they work with me and they're like, oh man, it's very expensive, but they don't realize it's actually way cheaper than what a lot of other people do. And so it just floored me, the mistakes that I've made there, which again, impact everything. It impacts hiring. It impacts my time, my effort, me saying yes to jobs I should have said or never said yes to. All those jobs that I should have said yes to, I priced those really wrong too. There's one job that I won't get specific because I don't want to have people be mad at me. I quoted, and then I realized I probably shouldn't be doing this. So I thought maybe I could subcontract it out. So I went and I talked to a bunch of other firms who could maybe do the work for me. And just to give you numbers, the whole project itself was roughly about $15,000-ish that I quoted. And I went to a bunch of other firms, and they all told me that the project actually should be in the $50,000 to $75,000 range. Of course, I already had signed contract and all that stuff. And so I'm like, wow, I can't offload this because I've priced it like an idiot. So again, major lessons learned on pricing, and saying no versus saying yes, and hiring the right people and things that I have learned. It's been an absolute roller coaster of lessons that I have learned. And here's the thing, I'm still not done learning. There's always more that I need to continue to do. But it's just, this is me being real and honest about growing a business and making mistakes. And the goal, though, is to learn from these mistakes. Because if we don't learn from them, you're bound to repeat them. Of all the mistakes that I've shared here today, any of them resonate with you? If they do, send me a message. You can find me on all social media channels. I am most probably active on whether it's Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn. Send me a message. I'd love to hear if any of these connect and relate to you. Until next time, whatever you do, go all in. And more importantly, learn from the mistakes you make. All right, that's a wrap for today's Dose of Reality on the Chris Hanna Show. If you're fired up and ready to kick some serious ass, then I've done my job. But remember, knowledge without action is just wasted breath. So what are you going to do? Sit around and let opportunities pass you by? Or are you going to step up and take what's yours? The choice is yours, but don't expect sympathy if you choose the easy road. If you've got value from today's episode, smash that subscribe button, leave a review, or share it with somebody who needs a wake-up call. Don't keep this gold to yourself unless you're afraid of a little competition. Stay bold, stay hungry, and remember, always go all in. Until next time, this is Chris Hanna signing off. Now go out there and take what's yours.